Hey, it's Matt from Black Coal Woodworking. Obviously today I'm going to see if I can make a larger bowl out of some 2x10s. So we were gifted some scrap 2x10s by family, and we were very thankful for that because it gave me a chance to try this thing. One thing I found right off the hop is the key to doing this really well is to plane both sides of the wood that you're going to glue together. They need to be absolutely flat against each other. Use a lot of glue, and I used a lot of clamping pressure. That way, when I cut this bowl out on the lathe, you're not going to get any gaps. Looks like my clamps are a little tighter than I thought. That's a pretty good divot. I'm going to mount this to my lathe using a screw chuck. Man, my drill looks totally crooked here. At the time I thought it was straight. In order to fit this on my lathe though, I do need to take off the corners. Now it's time to get it round. If you do try this at home, I highly recommend putting your tailstock up just to hold that thing. That's actually a fairly heavy piece of wood, even though it's dry. Now that it's round, I could start to shape the actual bowl. And I started by taking the corners out of the bottom. I'm using a live edge bowl that I made a little while ago as the basis for the shape of this one. This bowl will be taller than the live edge, so I did have to modify the top part of that shape a little bit more. In the end, the overall shape turned out alright, but if I do this again, I'd probably modify the shape a little bit more and make the bottom just a little bit smaller and just make the overall profile of the bowl look a little bit more round. As you can start to see, there are bands of the pieces of wood that I glued up, and there are a couple of keys to making this look right to me. One was being able to plane both sides of the wood so they're perfectly flat, or as best as I could make it, so the glue up is really tight. And then the second is how to deal with those bands. So I think I found a pretty good solution for that, and I'll show you here in a moment. On the bottom of this bowl, I prepared it for a 4-jaw chuck. And what I'm going to do is create a tenon here where I can stick the 4 jaws of the chuck into. I've been using my 1/2-inch bowl gouge till now. Here's where I start to use a diamond point scraper and probably a spindle gouge as well. There we go, just to get into that corner further and create a dovetail. And then I also create a ring with my tailstock in case I need to stick this thing back on the lathe, then I know exactly where to put it. Here's how I deal with those bands from the glue up. I put lines on them and I add a line beneath it. That way it breaks up the shape and it gets harder to tell that this is in fact 4 2x10s glued up. I think it works out really well. Let me know what you think in the comments. The finish I'm using is 2 parts beeswax to 2 parts walnut oil. I find this finish to do the least amount of yellowing over all the other finishes I've tried. So you can really see these divots in here. I'm gonna have to cut that out. They go down about 1 millimeter or so. To hollow out the bowl, I'm using my 1/2-inch bowl gouge again. keeping my tailstock up there to make sure that thing doesn't jump out at me. Those moments aren't fun. Hollowing out this bowl, I found that when I stick my bowl gouge in from the center going toward the outside, if I turn the tool more vertical, then it tends to want to catch less. So that was very helpful, especially when I get near the outer rim of the bowl. You don't want it to eat right through too far and then you're kind of stuck. You gotta go thinner than you want, or maybe you ruin the bowl. And I do try and keep the tailstock up whenever I can. Sometimes you just gotta move it out of the way for a bit. As you clear out more of this material, the bowl becomes lighter and lighter, and the chances of it jumping off obviously drop. One of the reoccurring themes you'll see as I hollow out this bowl is that it really doesn't take much to fill that bowl with shavings that seem to want to stick to the outer rim. And again I can stop and clear it out just so I can see what's going on. At one point during the process, my wife walked into the garage and said, wow, it smells amazing in here. Apparently I released all the essential oils from this pine. And it did smell really good. You walk out, you walk back in, and it's wonderful. Once I had the sides of the bowls the way I wanted, it was time to take care of the bottom. Normally I don't like to have a bowl gouge go straight to the bottom of a bowl, as that gets really challenging and you still have to deal with a lot of shavings. So coming up here, you'll see that I tried to use my round nose scraper, and that did not go very well. Yeah, it's more like scrape and bang. Scrape and bang. Big old nope. Back to the 1/2 inch bowl gouge, and I found again, turning my tool more vertical really cut down on the amount it was trying to cut out at one time, and it made the cut way more manageable. So if you can't tell, I had sanded between the last shot and this one. I just don't feel like filming that because it's not so much fun. But the finished part sure is. This is the same finish as I put on the outside, and you can see that once you get that finish heated up with that friction, it really just makes it look good. If you liked the video and I earned it, please subscribe, give me a comment, share this video with your friends, give it a thumbs up, all that usual stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.